If there has been a never controversial, if there's been a never controversial book about the subject of power, then there's only one book which is at the top of that pile, and that book is The Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli. So the thing about this book is that what makes it controversial is that when Machiavelli talks about handling power, he recommends a very ruthless way of going about it. Like he doesn't bring the emotional or psychological part of power to how rulers should handle powers. For him, it is about being ruthless, like only caring about yourself and your power alone. Like doesn't matter what the other people think, say, or do. Like only focusing on yourself and only be concerned with your own interest. If something is not in your interest, you just don't deal with it. So that is one of the things that makes the book controversial. The second thing is that the person he recommends as the role model prince. So he recommends Saribogia. Now Saribogia was a guy who committed a lot of, maybe I should just call it like, just call it like something like genocide. Like he contributed to the deaths of very many people because for him the only thing that matters was for him to be powerful. If you are not playing to that idea, will just ruthlessly do away with you. So that is the second thing of what makes it controversial. On the other side, you have what makes the book good. And now, for me, what I found about the book is that it's one thing that when you give the reason why you recommend Bogia, like the reason you give for that is that it recommends a ruler to quickly analyze the situation, know what must be done, and then get done with it immediately. Like you read the situation, you know the solution that is needed, and then you quickly put that solution into work. And for me, I think that is very crucial as leaders, in that we have to be able to read the situation, find out what the solution is, and then put put the solution into action immediately. The other thing about the book is that it talks about like different ways of dealing with the like establishing a new system of government. And now the idea is that it is very difficult for you to introduce a new system of government to people who are used to a very different kind of leadership in the past. And now I think that is very true. And now what he recommends is that you should have your own resources and your own allies so that you can bring your the changes, the reforms you want to bring in so that you can bring them in successfully. Otherwise, are going to fail. And I can say that that is very true because now in the beginning when you are bringing on something new, there's a lot of resistance that there are people who are not sure about it. And on the other hand, you have the people who did well with how things were done in the past. And now, for you to navigate that now, you have to be very focused on the ability you have as yourself, and also you have to have the resources to bring your reforms into action. So that's the other thing that I pick up from the book. And now the last thing is that Machiavelli uses the stories to kind of put his ideas, like kind of put the the principles and the strategies that he's talking about to put them in perspective. So, for example, he uses stories a lot to bring the ideas that he's talking about, and also the stories he uses are very like they teach that strategy very successfully. So, for example, there's this idea that he talks about, like when he talks in about the idea of using the animal in you as a leader. So the animal is more about being like there are two parts to it. So the first one is about being a man, and now when he talks about using your abilities as a man, he talks about using the laws. On the other hand, you have using the animal quality. And now this is where now you don't regard the laws anymore. And now when he talks about that, he gives the example of being a fox and being a lion. So being a fox is more about being cunning in that you don't always mean what you say, and also you can change your ideas and your perceptions at any moment. On the other hand, he talks about being the lion, and now being the lion is more about like scaring people who may take advantage of the situation. And now when he uses that, now he gives the example of Bogia. Now when he was dealing with the people who had deserted him and were openly rebellious about him, and now he talked about the what happened at Senegaglia. Now this is whereby like Sarebogia kind of turned the situation around in that this this these leaders from the Oceanis, like they had planned to deceive him so that they could do away with him. But for him, quickly read the situation, and now he turned the deception on them. Like he made it seem as if he was being deceived, but he was the one who was deceiving them. And now by doing that, he was able to do away with them. So that is the thing about Machiavelli. Like he uses stories and real situations that explain the principles that you want to talk about in terms of leadership, and also in terms of the strategies that you can use as a ruler. Uses those examples in a way that it exactly fits the point that you want to talk about. So that is my perspective on the Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli. So I'll see you next week when I talk about the potato laws of power. So bye bye. Carpe diem.